Alen the Savage Babic blasts out Niall Kennedy without ever even leaving fifth gear. Knuckleheads, welcome to the Fighters Rep, where we give you free fights, interviews in the fight game, and fight commentary from the mind of a promoter. You know what? I don't care what anybody says. I am 100% on board the Alen Babic hype train, even though I'm out here in the U.S., and he's out there running that train right through the heart of the UK. I'm feeling the rumble all the way over here across the pond. I love to watch this guy. I love the way he goes about his fighting. And he did it again. He did it again today against Niall Kennedy, a guy who had more experience than Babic, a guy who was bigger, but a guy who ultimately wilted under the pressure, albeit in the third round. Now, I say that Babic never really got out of fifth gear because he didn't really want to. He didn't really have to. This was a slightly toned down Savage from what we saw against Shondell Winters. He just wasn't going about it at the same pace as he did last time. He was still throwing punches in bunches, just hooks everywhere, hitting you with whatever he could hit you with, kind of making Niall Kennedy slowly wilt away under his powerful hooks. But it wasn't with the urgency that he did it against Shondell Winters, because I feel like the Babic found a comfortable pace against Niall Kennedy and said to himself, let me take my time and blast this guy out of there. At first, I was thinking to myself, man, he looks kind of slow. But then, it kind of made sense to me that he's just not kicking it up to sixth gear the way he did in the last fight. He's taking his time in there, and he's getting to this guy. I guess, he dropped Niall Kennedy, I believe in the first, the second, and then, the third round. I think he may have dropped him in every round, but I just feel like perhaps, he felt like he was getting to him. There was no reason to really rush his work or get more intense than he had to be. And, it was still fun to watch. And at the end of the fight, they even interviewed him, and he said, I kind of didn't hit the next gear. I didn't have to do it. I had this kind of pace in me for 15 rounds. So, smart move by Babic, not allowing himself to go out there and kind of, punch himself out. Kept a nice, strong pace, still entertaining, and got the job done against Niall Kennedy, man. The broadcasters were kind of criticizing and saying, they don't know how he'd fare against the bigger guys. He's a smaller guy. Maybe he could make cruiserweight, yada, yada, yada. Listen, there's something to be said for being a smaller heavyweight, especially when you got power. And this guy definitely has power. I mean, a lot of the shots he was landing on Kennedy today weren't clean shots. They weren't clean shots, but they were still enough to disrupt Kennedy. And I think, if he's coming at you and he's just swinging like crazy and everything that lands hurts, and you got to watch out for everything that lands because it hurts, then he's a problem. And when you're a small heavyweight, you're typically faster. You're a smaller target. We've seen the damage that a guy like Andy Ruiz did, and I don't think he's too much smaller than Andy Ruiz. I mean, obviously he's a lot, less heavy, but I don't think he's too much smaller than Andy Ruiz. I think he can find some success in the heavyweight division. I think he's a very tough guy. I mean, we haven't seen him hurt. We haven't seen him wobbled. It's probably still early for that, but, I think a part of the assessment is going to be what happens when he gets hurt. What happens when he gets taken into the later rounds. I think we got to hold off on our critiques or on the heavy, critiques until we see how he fares closer to the end of the fight, when he gets taken into deep waters or when he gets cracked, if he gets hurt, because so far we haven't seen that. So, big congrats, man, to Alen Babic. Big congrats to Croatian people. I think the guy is 1,000% entertainment, man. I love watching the guy fight. I think his personality is great. I think, he's respectful, but he's just a barbarian in the ring. And that's what you want, man, as a fan. You want a guy that's going to go out there and bang people out and, not kind of be a prick about it. The other interesting fight that happened in the main event, though, I mean, it's crazy I'm talking about the main event after that, but I guess, for me, Babic was kind of the main event. But the actual main event was Joshua Buatsi taking on Marko Calic, another Croatian guy that I guess got put on through Babic, right? And that fight was absolutely fantastic. Croatia really showed up today. Unfortunately for Calic, when I was watching the fight, I felt like he was doing a fantastic job. I think around the third round, he may have actually cracked Buatsi's orbital bone, if I'm being honest with you. I'm going to go ahead and say it, now. You heard it here first. I would imagine Buatsi has a damaged orbital bone from that fight, the way he was reacting. Every punch was hurting him badly after that shot landed on his orbital bone. But, Calic put up a hell of a fight against Buatsi. And as I was watching the fight, I believe the sixth round, the fight ended with Buatsi winning. And I thought the fight was stopped kind of early. I thought, Calic was still in it. But apparently he had broken his jaw. I mean, so these guys had really done some damage to each other, man. These are light heavyweights. They were landing some shots. Again, Calic with the broken jaw and Buatsi with the, I would imagine at least, a cracked orbital bone. And fantastic fight, man. Look, Croatia showed up, man. And I think, this is something that I've always thought to myself as a promoter, right? It's not really the region all the time. It's not really, where the guy's from or whatever. It's if the guys in that region are afforded an opportunity in order to build a boxing culture. And I feel like because of Babic now, we've seen another talent in Calic who was given the opportunity just through his association with Babic. So, I mean, it's very exciting to see these guys who would have otherwise probably never been given an opportunity. Hopefully it leads to a sort of domino effect because, man, there's great fighters all over the world. Croatia showed today that it has some fantastic talent, man. And, I hope we get to see more of that. Also, man, big credit, big shout out to Buatsi, man. I mean, to get through that orbital bone injury, at least for me, look, I don't know if 100% he broke it, but it looked like a busted orbital bone to me, you guys. And for him to get through that and get the finish and break Chalic's jaw, man, he showed a lot of grit in there, man. He showed a lot of grit in there. He did show that he's beatable. And every man is beatable. But, I got mad respect for him for the way that he kept his composure and, kept it moving and was able to pull that fight out because he could have probably most guys would have probably given up, I think, with the damage that he took to that eye, I would imagine. I look forward to what they say after the fight, what the actual injuries to the guys were. We'll see. But Knuckleheads, tell me what you think of these fights today, man. Tell me what you think of the Savage Babic. Where does he go from here? Does he have a future in the heavyweight division? And tell me about Buatsi and Calic, man. Do you want to see these guys fight again? I thought they were fantastic. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon next to it. Join Knucklehead Nation. Get your Fighters Rep gear in the link below. We got shirts, hoodies, masks, tanks, whatever. Anything you guys buy from the channel gets reinvested right back into building up the channel and the promotion. We're the only kickboxing promotion that matters, so it's much appreciated if you guys do that. Knuckleheads, we'll talk soon.